Today on Teach Me How to Vegan.
Yeah, it's the like toasted and lightly buttered English muffin, the caramelized onions, the like pan-fried tofu.
Yeah.
The greens with that little bit of like, I don't know, I love this breakfast.
Really
if you
good.
can't tell. I love it so much that I don't even feel the need to put green chili on it.
Ooh, that's bold.
It says a lot.
Yeah.
It's good as is.
As is, yeah.
Welcome to Teach Me How to Vegan.
A podcast where we explore how to switch to a vegan diet.
I'm Tony, a health educator, fitness instructor, and plant-based eating program manager for Animal Protection of New Mexico.
I'm Mickey, a stay-at-home homeschooling mom and vegan cook who likes to play in the kitchen.
Our family stopped eating meat in 2007.
And we went vegan in 2016. Now we like to share with others what we've learned.
Thanks for joining us.
Let's get started.
I'm excited to talk about breakfast ideas.
I know you are.
Because breakfast is my favorite meal.
Yep.
And over the years, we have come up with lots of different ideas.
Yeah.
Because we like breakfast so much. And some people can just eat like whatever for breakfast, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like I know some people that I'll eat just soup for breakfast or
Yeah, they'll
stew
eat like dinner and lunch leftovers.
or whatever.
Yeah.
If you're one of those people, that's wonderful for you. I am not that person.
You like breakfast food for breakfast.
Yes. And what I think of as breakfast food.
Yeah.
That's what I like. And I'm one of those people who's like super hungry in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And so breakfast is more important than any other meal for me personally. So a lot of times I'm not happy to just get by with like
Some toast and fruit.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you look on Instagram or, you know, different lists about what vegans eat and you look at breakfast, a lot of times you get
It's like oatmeal and fancy toast and some stuff.
Yeah. So, you know, to be clear, we're going to give 10 breakfast ideas that are not going to be like avocado toast or bagels or oats or, you know, we've already talked about oats and smoothies in our recent episode. And so we're kind of moving past that. These are like more hearty meals.
And while oatmeal is hearty and there's a lot of different ways you can make it, I personally did not grow up on oatmeal. I grew up in a hot, humid place, so oatmeal was not a staple for me growing up. So switching to a vegan diet, breakfast was extremely affected for me.
Yeah.
Immensely. Like I did not realize how many of my breakfasts depended on eggs and cheese and yogurt before going vegan. And realizing like, wow, I have like, it's like oatmeal and toast. And I didn't grow up on oatmeal. I'm like still trying to adjust to, 17 years in New Mexico now and still trying to adjust to like, I love oatmeal. And like, I enjoy it. I've come a long way, but I can't do it every day. So finding other hearty breakfasts that are not oatmeal based was really like imperative to me. It was like important. I needed that for my vegan journey.
Yeah. And knowing your journey, because I lived it alongside with you.
Yeah,
I think this episode could be important for some people like you who are like, what can I have for breakfast?
Yeah. Yes.
You know, and especially now that a lot of us are staying home a lot, sometimes when I'm on the go, it's easier to just eat toast or smoothies.
Right.
But now that I'm home, it's like, I don't want to sit at home and drink a smoothie. I want something more. So let's get more creative. And friendly reminder that every, meal we talk about and recipe we mentioned will be linked in the show notes. So if you want to go reference a recipe that we talked about, just, check the show notes on the website or wherever you listen to the podcast. So without further ado, let's get into our 10 breakfast ideas, and we're going to give variations or, serving ideas for each one. But these are 10 delicious breakfast meals that we love.
Yes. And that we regularly rotate through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So first is quiche.
I was so happy when I found that quiche recipe.
Yeah. I kind of thought we were never going to have quiche again.
Yes, I know.
Because how do you make a quiche without egg? And you found an amazing recipe.
Yes. The secret ingredient, surprise, surprise, another vegan staple, tofu. Tofu is pretty amazing, and maybe we can do an episode in the future about tofu and maybe debunking some
soy myths.
Yeah. Some preconceived notions type of thing.
Yeah, I would love to do that in the future
because you'll find that a number of our recipes actually use tofu. And it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
You don't need to worry about any of the things that people say you should worry about.
Right.
That's not a thing.
Accepting in an allergy situation, tofu's pretty good to go. So anyway, quiche, I found this recipe, and it's basically tofu, nutritional yeast, some spices.
A little bit of soy milk.
A little bit of soy milk. You could probably substitute with water if you needed to.
It's pretty easy.
It's
you
very
throw it together.
easy, and you just put it in a blender, and then you mix it with whatever vegetables you want to put in your quiche, and then you put it in pie crust and bake it. So it's pretty easy. Now, it is like a regular quiche where it bakes for a long time, so you do have to plan ahead for it, but it's really delicious. And sometimes I will get store-bought crust if I can find a vegan version. There's a whole wheat vegan one that Sprouts carries at the holidays, and we'll sometimes get that. But I also found a really easy homemade pie crust that is like no kneading and no rolling and no transferring. You can just make it right in the pan and like finger press it into the pan, and then you put your quiche in it, your filling in it, and bake it.
Yeah, it's actually called No Fuss Pie Crust.
There you go.
And it's super easy.
So some fillings that we love in our quiche. Some of my basics are like a red thing, a green thing, and like a white or orange thing.
Because the color is important, like the presentation. Yeah.
Right, yeah. And so for me, I find that especially in quiche, I usually can do that. So it's usually like red is either tomato or red pepper. Green is like broccoli or spinach. And like white might be like mushroom or onion. And then sometimes if we have a little bit of vegan cheese, I'll mix that in or put that on top. But we don't typically use vegan cheese for our quiche. It's tofu and veggies. And you can do whatever. Peppers and onions and mushrooms and all sorts of things, whatever you can think of. Whatever sounds good to you.
For sure. And then a key ingredient is the black salt.
Yes.
Because you put that on at the end, and it gives it that like eggy
flavor,
smell and flavor. And so, a lot of these dishes that we're going to talk about that have egg, black salt is an important staple ingredient to have that we always have when we discovered it.
Yes, and I have found that the more inexpensive place to find some black salt is at like an Indian market, like an Indian supermarket. So locally for us, that's Tallinn, that has all sorts of food from all over the world, and it's in their, I think the aisle is called Bombay. So with like all the spices and ingredients and things that you would think to make traditional Indian food.
Yeah, it's essentially the Indian section.
Yeah.
But it was like a little...
It was a little bag. It was like 3 ounces, and it was like $1.
Yeah.
I could not believe it, because when you look online on Amazon, it's not $1.
So if you're in the Albuquerque area, go to Tallinn Market.
Yeah. So definitely if you have kind of mom and pop shops like that, might have some good spices for you that are inexpensive.
And I love quiche because it's one of those meals that vegetables taste really good in.
Yes.
And I love when we can put vegetables in our breakfast, because I'm always trying to get more vegetables.
Yes.
And broccoli is really good in it.
Yes.
And greens are really good in it. And those are 2 things I'm always trying to get more of: cruciferous and greens.
And greens, absolutely.
And you can't go wrong. And interestingly, earlier this morning, I asked Constantine, our older son, our 13-year-old, what his favorite type of quiche is. And he said broccoli and tomato.
Which is so funny, because he does not like broccoli
exactly.
by itself.
Exactly. I was like, really?
What?
He never wants to eat broccoli when we serve it by itself.
Right.
Or, in most
Seasoned,
things, he's always like, oh, broccoli, whatever, I'll eat it. Oddly enough, it's his favorite thing in quiche.
That's funny.
So
a tip also with this is a number of recipes will call for cooking or sauteing your vegetables a little bit beforehand. And you can do that, but I have skipped that step on a number of breakfast occasions because no. And the vegetables cook just fine in the oven in the quiche. Like, I'm not sure I understand it unless you're trying to get a flavor in your quiche.
Right.
The sauteing would be for a flavor.
If you want to like caramelize the onions, or
right.
gets that.
Yeah, if you want that flavor, then you can put it in. You want to cook them before you put it in the quiche. But if you're okay without the flavor, or you want to try it both ways, like, you don't have to cook them beforehand.
Yeah. And then another, pro tip is you can prepare the filling and the crust ahead of time.
Yes.
Because we like to have quiche on Christmas morning. That's our that's been our tradition for a long time, to do quiche for breakfast on Christmas morning. So on Christmas Eve night, we always prepare the filling and the crust.
Yep.
That way in the morning, we just pour the filling into the crust and pop it in the oven. You don't want to put the filling in the crust and let it sit overnight, because
I think the crust will probably get too soggy.
Yeah.
We have not tried it, because we've been concerned it might get soggy. So if you try it, let us know.
Right. But it's, then it's super quick and then you're ready to eat in an hour. And it works perfect because we pop it in the oven, open presents, and then we're ready to eat.
Yes.
So.
Yep.
All right. So that's quiche. Next we have tofu scramble, which we've mentioned before, but it's such a go-to. It's like scrambled eggs. It's an easy recipe, but it's another great one where you can add vegetables to it. We always pump it up with lots of veggies and greens, always greens in it. And the kids just eat it up.
Yes, they do. They really, really do. And then to make the meal more hearty, because we are, right now, we're still at 1 block of tofu for our family of 4. When it comes to tofu scramble, our 13-year-old, I think I give us maybe 1 more year before we're out of that. Or we have to start having 2 sides, not just one. So we do our tofu scramble. And we usually have it with like potatoes or hash browns or the little hash brown patties or toast or English muffin or, a bread, something else to round out the meal. And then if we need even more, fruit.
Yep.
So that's if you listened to our last podcast, you heard.
Go to. Another cool idea with the tofu scrambles, you can serve it as tacos.
Yes.
So sometimes, every once in a while, we'll serve it with corn tortillas and sriracha or some spicy something, salsa or something, and
Green
just
chili.
make little tacos with it, and it's yummy.
Yes. And then, of course, burritos.
Right. Anything you can put in a burrito.
Yeah. And we'll talk a little bit more about with another breakfast that we put in burritos all the time. So we'll talk more about that in a minute.
Yeah. All right. So then number 3, vegan fried eggs. And this was everything because we were those people that loved eggs. We were vegetarian for 9 years and ate eggs all the time. Eggs. Because fried eggs are amazing sometimes.
Yeah.
And here in New Mexico, we like to put a fried egg on anything.
Yes.
One of my favorite restaurants in Santa Fe for the longest time was a New Mexican restaurant, and you could add a fried egg to anything. So I loved getting like enchiladas with the fried egg on it.
Yeah.
Fajitas, add a fried egg, like whatever.
Yeah.
So
this was big for you when I found. So what we do is we make a yolk. We call it eggy sauce. And we changed Lauren Toyota's Hot for Food blog, her recipe for the egg yolk. We adjusted it a little bit for us. And
basically to make it easier.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is what gives you the yolky part of the vegan fried egg. And it's really fantastic. That was a game changer. That was really big for us.
Yeah. And it's not like one of those things that you need all these complex ingredients for, which is great. And we usually keep all those ingredients on hand, and I can put it together practically in my sleep now. Yeah. Because you throw all the ingredients in the blender, blend it, pour it into a pan, heat it up, and then you're ready to go.
Yes.
And it's egg yolk.
Yeah. And it's the main ingredient is tomatoes.
Yeah, which is interesting.
Super simple. Yeah.
And then for the egg whites, we just thinly slice some tofu. So little squares of tofu that are thinly sliced, and then pan fry them. And then you just kind of drizzle the yolk on top, and there you go, fried egg.
Yeah.
So you can do different things with that too. We like to make huevos rancheros, especially anytime we have leftover red chili or beans.
Frito pies from the night before, then the next morning we're usually having vegan fried egg or huevos rancheros.
Yeah, for sure. Or, you could just serve them with potatoes or a vegan breakfast meat or something. Yep. That, when you want that, some people grew up often having that meal, the breakfast meal, fried eggs and bacon and hash browns. And if you want to recreate that, this is the way to do that too. You could serve it with whatever vegan breakfast meat you want. And
potatoes.
And potatoes.
And you got meat, potatoes, and eggs.
However you grew up, you can do that with it too. So it's amazing. And then sometimes we make the yolk or what we call eggy sauce to drizzle on other meals or other things, or sometimes if we have a little bit left over, the next day I'll just make toast and kind of dunk it in. You know how when you finish your
little
fried
savory
eggs,
dunker.
Yeah, when you finish your fried eggs and you sop up the yolk with the toast, and you could just do that with the leftovers. So it's awesome.
If there's leftovers. Lately, there's not been leftovers because our kids love this sauce also.
Yeah, they would drink it if we let them.
Mm-hmm. And so this sauce is particularly delicious with green chili on our next breakfast idea, which we call tofu breakfast bake.
Perfect segue.
And this is one that I made up because I wanted a hot breakfast and I wanted a hearty breakfast, but I did not want to stand over the stove making anything. And so this is, you dump it in a bowl, you mix it up, you put it on a pan and you bake it. And this has become probably the favorite breakfast in the house.
It is hands down my favorite breakfast.
Okay.
Yes. And I think Constantine has said that as well.
I think so too. Yeah. So this is how I make it, and it's really easy. So hopefully you like it too. So you take a bag of hash browns and you dump it in a bowl. And then you take whatever vegetables you have. You're going to want a big bowl because I need a big bowl because the bag of hash browns is usually kind of big. Then I take whatever vegetables we have on hand that sound good or need to get got, onions, tomato, greens, peppers. I do at least one pepper, sometimes two peppers in it. And then I put that in, and then I sprinkle all the vegetables and potatoes with everything but the bagel seasoning. And then I cut up a block of tofu, drain it a little bit, cut it up, and put that in the bowl. I cover the tofu with nutritional yeast, and I try to keep it mainly on the tofu. So the tofu is kind of seasoned with the nutritional yeast.
Kind of
coated, and then everything else is kind of coated with the everything but the bagel seasoning. And I like to put the potatoes in first so they kind of start to defrost a little bit as I'm cutting up and chopping everything else, because then that helps all the stuff stick to it if you don't want to use oil. But sometimes I'll still put a little bit of oil, and then I just mix it up so everything gets dispersed. And then I put it on a giant cookie sheet, a big cookie sheet that I have, squeeze it all in there. And then we put it in the oven and we bake it for, I think it's like 25 minutes at 400. I kind of just wing that part, really. I just put it on 400 and put it in the oven. We'll have to time it so we can make sure.
We did because the recipe's on the website.
Okay, great. Good.
So we came up with like a ballpark, and oven times always vary depending on your oven and how crispy you like it and all that stuff.
Exactly, and that's the key is you just let it go until it gets to the crispiness you like.
Because you like it a little more crispy than like. Not that I don't like it, I just wouldn't wait that long. But you think it's worth a little more. Yeah, I just want to eat it now.
Yeah, but I think it's worth the extra time because I like the crunch. So then when you take it out, you cover it with the eggy sauce and green chili, and it is so good. Black salt, like you do the eggy sauce. If you need a little more black salt, you put the black salt, and then you do green chili, and it's absolutely delicious.
And that's what I refer to as my favorite breakfast, because you can make the tofu breakfast bake without the eggy sauce and the green chili, and it's good just like that.
Yeah,
that's how we first started having it, just like that. I always like something spicy on top, so I would put like sriracha or salsa or something.
Yeah.
But then we thought green chili, obviously.
And then I was like, ooh,
and then
eggy sauce.
Yeah, and that is the best, my favorite breakfast of all time.
It's so good. And then one day we needed to leave early or go somewhere. Maybe actually it was for Balloon Fiesta when we went last year that I was like, oh, let's just put the tofu breakfast bake in burritos. And that'll be our breakfast in the morning. Because for Balloon Fiesta, you have to get up so early if you want to, get there good time. So we did that, and it was absolutely delicious. And then I had the bright idea of putting eggy sauce in the breakfast burrito also. Like just put everything in the breakfast burrito. And then I was like, hey, what about a breakfast chimney? And we make the burrito with the eggy sauce and the green chili and then put it in our air fryer and get breakfast chimneys. Ooh, Lordy.
It's some extra steps, but if you have the time and energy, it is so worth it.
Yeah, it's really good. Like this tofu breakfast bake by itself, or like with the green chili and eggy sauce, just like on a plate, delicious. In a burrito, delicious. In a chimney, delicious. Like
by
you can't
itself,
go wrong.
Delicious.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't go wrong.
So that's on the website in case you want to try Tony's favorite breakfast.
Highly recommended. All right, so now these were all kind of like eggy based. So now we're gonna get into some that aren't so eggy or aren't egg based at all, because we don't just eat everything.
Everything tofu.
We're not just the vegan eggivores or however you'd say it. Just made that up.
Whatever. The tofu herbivores.
Yeah. We do go outside of that realm.
Yes.
But another hearty, delicious breakfast that we like to make a lot is biscuits and gravy.
Mm-hmm. Constantine loves this one too.
He asks for it a lot.
He does.
And we, talked about it in a previous episode too, but it's worth mentioning again because it's one of those ones that maybe people don't think of very often or wouldn't think is easy to veganize, but it's incredibly easy.
Yeah. The biscuit recipe is super easy. That's on the website. The gravy's pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's really, and then bulking it up, you add a side.
Mm-hmm.
And so you might get a vegan meat for the side is really good. And if you get like the little sausage links, you can even cut those up and mix it into the gravy. And sometimes that's really yummy.
Or, once in a while, like we mentioned before, we'll make the poor man's sausage and crumble it up into the gravy. Mm-hmm. It's really good.
So good.
Super cheap.
It adds I was amazed the first time we did that, how much the poor man's sausage added to the gravy.
Mm-hmm. Or sometimes when we want a really hearty breakfast, or if we're like doing brunch, like it's super late and now we're super hungry, we haven't eaten, and we're going to do more of a brunch, we'll do tofu scramble with the biscuits and gravy.
Yes.
And that's like a big, a big presentation.
Yeah.
Fiasco. I don't know what word I'm looking for. It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. Okay, big deal.
So that's a good one. And then, Mickey, you make these delicious English muffin sandwiches.
Mm-hmm. This is another one I adopted from Hot for Food blog from Lauren Toyota.
So it's like basically an English muffin. I don't know. You describe it because you make it. I don't know. I don't even know how to make it. I just know how to eat it.
Yes, it's I just know how to eat it. It's you're so dumb. Oh dear. Okay, so thankfully it's not hard to make. It's just kind of got a lot of components. English muffin, and then it's tofu. This one does have tofu in it. And you cut the tofu. I actually have one of our glasses randomly is the perfect diameter for an English muffin. So if I'm feeling extra fancy, I, cut up my tofu a certain way, and then I take the glass and carve out a circle of the tofu, and then I cook the tofu, fry the tofu.
I love it when you do it that way.
Yeah, because it really is so reminiscent of your sort of English muffin, your eggy English muffin. Mm-hmm. But we really like it topped with caramelized onion. And we like some greens on the sandwich.
Like some sauteed greens.
I don't even saute them.
Oh, you don't? I lied. Yeah.
I don't saute them. I mean, what happens is I prep the English muffin. So it has it's the English muffin, and one side has the greens on it. The other side might have the onions on it. And so when I put the warm tofu on it, that kind of sautés or wilts the greens. Yeah, that is how the greens get cooked.
See, I told you I don't know anything about this.
And then so we also really, really love it with cheese on it. And sometimes we'll have like a vegan cheese shred. But recently we've been consistently making our nacho cheese sauce to just have on hand for whatever. And we had a little bit of that left over. And so I made the breakfast and I used that cheese sauce, and it's so good.
Yes.
Oh my God. It's so, so good. And so it's basically caramelized onion, a cheese sauce, some tofu, some greens, and an English muffin. Really, really good.
Super good.
Yeah.
So, and you toast the English muffin.
I toast the English muffin, and I put a little bit of butter. You could probably skip that, but I know our family really likes it that way.
It's the combination. Yeah, it's the toasted and lightly buttered English muffin, the caramelized onions, the pan fried tofu.
Yeah.
The greens with that little bit of I don't know, I love this breakfast.
Really
if you can't tell. I love it so much that I don't even feel the need to put green chili on it.
Ooh. Ooh, that's bold.
It says a lot.
Yeah.
It's good as is.
As is, yeah. And I do think the caramelized onions, like if you like onions, it is worth the time to caramelize the onion. It really takes the sandwich to another level.
Mm-hmm.
That is absolutely worth the time. So that's kind of like that's the long part, and then like cooking your tofu.
Yeah.
So but it's worth it.
Totally worth it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, then the next one, this one is really good too, that I think you discovered, and it's a French toast bake.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
you know, French toast is a delicious meal, obviously. It's hard to veganize, and we had some epic fails throughout the years.
Yes, we have.
Trying to make vegan French toast.
Yes, we have.
The blogs make it look so easy and simple, and they're lying. I don't think it's that easy, but once you learn the tricks, then it is.
Yeah. Like
so you have to understand the process.
Yeah, I've had French toast fall apart on me because it's too soggy. And so you really I feel like I didn't have that much of a hard time with French toast falling apart on me when we were vegetarian and we used egg. Mm-hmm. And so for me, when we went vegan and having French toast fall apart on me, it really does need to be hardened, your bread.
Right.
It really does need to, like, if you want it the next morning, you need to set it out. Yeah. And let it get crispy.
So we choose a thick, hearty bread, and then you leave it out the night before.
Yeah. If it's not, you can, like, some bakeries, you can go and get day-old bread. And the way we do that is if I know we're going to have it and the bread is almost there, like our Costco loaves are a good example. Or like the French bread, like from Walmart maybe. If it's on its way out or it's just the end is starting to get really hard, this is a good time you can slice it or crumble it up in your pan and leave it out for the night, and it'll crisp up. It'll get hard by the morning time, or harder, and this works then. And then I make we call it French toast batter because Fortune eats it.
Yeah.
He likes we call it French toast batter because it's chia seeds and milk and like a little maple syrup and cinnamon. Mm-hmm. Vanilla, if you want to put vanilla. And so it's like a chia pudding if you set it in the fridge overnight and the chias go plump. And our youngest absolutely loves that.
Because one time when we made French toast and then I let him taste the batter, like, oh my God, that's so good. And then I realized it's basically like a chia pudding.
Right.
So one time I surprised him like, hey, I made you a whole batch of French toast batter just for you to eat. And he got so excited. And then he was on a kick and he had to have it like every single day. So I'd make him a little every
jar.
day, every night. I'd get one of the little mason jars and make him a little chia pudding. But it was called French toast batter. And it was literally chia seeds, soy milk, and cinnamon.
Yeah. And he loved it.
Every morning, it was just like the highlight of his morning.
Yes. It was absolutely fantastic. So we make the French toast batter, and I like to try to let it sit so the chias can start to plump up. Mm-hmm. It doesn't necessarily need to sit overnight, but at least a little bit in the fridge so it can plump.
Probably about 15
Yeah,
minutes.
I think like 15 minutes is a good time. And then I pour it into my pan that has the crispy bread, and then mix it up, and then you put it in the oven and you let it cook. Mm-hmm. And I like these ones that you just 1 or 2 pans, 1 or 2 pots, and then you put it in the oven and you can leave it, because sometimes I just don't want to stand over a hot stove. I mean, I don't like
If you can't tell, she's a fan of fix it and forget it.
Yes, yes. Especially in the summer. It's hot here.
Mm-hmm. True story.
So that's really good. And then you can add stuff to this. Sometimes I put raisins in it. Sometimes I might put chopped up apple. Like if I only have like 1 apple left and it's kind of like wrinkly on the outside, throw it in this idea or like our next 2 ideas.
I love when you put pecans in it.
Pecans is really good. Yeah.
Walnuts can go good in it.
Yeah. You could do craisins. You could put like some orange zest, maybe. Like you can get all sorts of fancy with your French toast bake, but this is a really good one.
Yeah. And then I remember you made this just a few days ago and accidentally put a little heavy-handed on the maple syrup.
Yes.
It was really good though.
No, do you know I was a little heavy-handed. Like I think I had more in the French toast batter, but then I also made, I don't know why, a glaze.
Oh, that's what you did.
An icing glaze with powdered sugar and put it on, and oh dear.
The boys did not complain.
No.
Neither did I. It was super tasty.
It was really good. But
it's one of those, like, we don't need to be eating that often.
Yeah. But it was one of those that I was
treat.
like, okay, if I'm going to make the glaze, I can probably completely skip the maple syrup, the sweetener in the French toast batter.
Right.
So you can do either or.
Because it was a treat.
Yes, it was. It was dessert for breakfast.
But yeah. And then we served it with the
Little sausage links,
field roast sausage links, and then strawberries and blueberries.
It was delicious.
It was like restaurant status,
Yeah.
restaurant quality. So
thanks.
kudos on that. All right, and then so the next one, this is really good that we all like too.
Yeah.
Is an apple crisp.
Yes.
So it kind of almost seems like a dessert for breakfast in a way, because it's, sometimes, like apple cobbler. It's almost reminiscent of that, but it's a healthier version.
It's funny because I really destroyed the quote unquote healthiness of the French toast bake the other day.
But you could potentially.
That could be.
It could be a healthy meal.
It could be a healthy meal. But the apple crisp, now, if some recipes for apple crisp really have a lot of sugar and butter.
Yeah.
And I was really surprised. And I don't cook it like that at all.
Yeah. So definitely experiment with reducing the sugar.
Yes.
And even maybe reducing the butter.
Yeah. I think the last time I made it, I didn't put any sweetener on the apples. It was literally just a little bit. I coated the apples in cinnamon and a little bit of lemon juice. And then with the crisp topping part with oats and pecans and a little bit of flour, I put some maple syrup. I think I didn't even put any butter the last time. I just used the maple syrup to let it kind of clump up a little bit. But I do think a little bit of butter is better because it didn't cook the way it traditionally did. So I do think a little bit of butter in the crisp topping or something.
Vegan butter, of course.
Yeah,
we use
vegan
Smart
butter.
Balance is kind of our go-to.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine coconut oil is probably good for that also. But I do think some kind of little fat so that it clumps up like that. And then so it browns differently. And that really helps. But our favorite additions to apple crisp is pecans and craisins. Sometimes raisins. But Tony, always.
I almost made my face right now.
I knew you were holding it back.
Every time she says craisins, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
That's not going to be good. And then she just makes it. I'm like, oh my God, this is so good. Every single time.
I don't know when you're going to learn.
Because I'm thinking, oh yeah, raisins are really good in apple crisp.
Right, raisins are good. But no, the ones that you guys oh my gosh, this is so good, was craisins.
That's so funny.
Yes. It's
I
craisins.
swear you said it and I was like,
I know. But it's craisins and pecans. And then every so often sometimes, because orange stuff, orange juice or orange zest or whatever is really good with craisins. So sometimes if I have it or I'm feeling motivated, I'll put a little bit of orange on the apples and craisins and pecans and cinnamon and mix that up and then put the crisp on. But it's really, you don't have to do that. It's fine with just apples. But the craisins and pecans edition is really delicious.
It is. And it's more filling than you would think it is.
Yeah.
Because it's, apples, it's oats, a little bit of flour. So you get that crisp. It's kind of like roughly the same ingredients as oatmeal, just kind of cooked a different way, if you will. So if you think of it that way, it's kind of a good rounded breakfast. To have.
And then, again, the vegan meats you could put on the side. You could make the poor man's sausage. You can add other stuff to it. But we tend to just have the apple crisp because I end up making a 13 by 9 pan. And everybody always wants seconds so that we eat the whole pan.
It's just breakfast.
Yeah.
All right. We're nearing the end of the list, but 9th on the list is pancakes.
This is one of the few things that I'll stand over a stove for.
Sometimes.
Breakfast, yeah.
Sometimes you will, because you also do, I don't know what you call them.
Pancake bites.
Pancake bites, where instead of standing over the stove and cooking the pancakes, she just pours the pancake batter into muffin tins and puts in the oven and walks away.
I sound sound so lazy. It's a lot of cooking, okay? Especially like, pandemic too. Like, I feel like constantly cooking. I'm like over it. So anything where I don't have to like be in the kitchen sometimes it's good. And then sometimes I'm like super motivated and I make feasts, but
no judgment. Yeah. And for, in your defense, our kitchen, like the way our house is designed, we don't get good air circulation.
Oh my gosh, it's terrible.
So on the hot days, like all the rooms in the house could be pretty cool, except for the kitchen. And then when you turn on the oven, it makes it worse.
Forget it, yeah.
Or the stove. So I'm just gonna give you that piece of defense. But anyway, with pancakes, back to pancakes. We mentioned these in an episode before, but it really is a go-to meal because they're really hearty, and then we do things to jazz them up and kind of
bulk them up,
add to the nutritional value. So one of our go-to, things to serve with them is tofu bacon, the homemade tofu bacon that I adapted that recipe, and we just really love it.
Yes.
So that's like, pancakes and tofu bacon. That's a go-to.
Yep.
We love to make a berry sauce to put on top that adds blueberries, that adds a fruit. It's better than just topping your pancakes with syrup.
Yes. And this has so little syrup.
Right.
It's amazing.
Like you just
how
need
good
like
it is.
Touch of syrup.
Oh my God. And it's easy.
And it goes a long way because you get the sweetness from the berries.
Berries, yep.
Sometimes we'll just top the pancakes with chopped fruit, and you can do whipped cream on top. There's good like canned, coconut milk or almond milk whipped creams that the boys love. We rarely do those. It's a big treat when we do that.
Right.
But you can make a homemade whipped cream with the canned coconut milk. You just put it in the fridge, and it separates. The fat separates from the whatever else is in it.
From the milk?
Yeah, the fat kind of separates out to the top.
Or bottom?
It separates. That's all I know. I forget. Anyway. Then you open it and drain the liquid, and then you beat the fat, and it makes a good coconut whipped cream.
Yeah.
That is delicious to add to pancakes with fruit.
Especially chocolate chip pancakes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You could do chocolate chip pancakes.
Yes.
And that's a treat.
Yes. The other thing sometimes I do when maybe we don't have berries for berry sauce, or I don't have time for berry sauce, is if I have any jelly, I'll take jelly and especially if it's thick, kind of add some water and thin it out a little bit, so that makes like a little sauce. And so that's a little tip there too.
If you're super in a hurry or don't have the ingredients, you can make that happen. That's good idea.
So, and then of course with pancakes, you can add all sorts of stuff to the batter or to the pancakes. Chocolate chips, blueberries, strawberries, banana,
You could do walnuts and do banana nut
pancakes. Yeah, all sorts of stuff. So you can bulk up the pancake, you can bulk up the toppings on the pancake, and you can add a side.
Right. And making pancakes vegan, really simple. We just use soy milk instead of cow milk. And then typically pancake recipes would call for an egg, and we just use a flax egg to substitute, which is basically ground flax. You do 1 tablespoon of ground flax, 3 tablespoons of water, let it sit for about 10 minutes so that the flax soaks up the water, and then that's your binder. Then you use that instead of the egg in the recipe. And there's an easy recipe on the website.
Great. Do you know what else I do sometimes? Sometimes
I
don't
know.
even... Don't be a hater.
But say it.
Sometimes I don't make the flax egg.
You just pour the flax seed in the batter. I pour the
flax into the dry ingredients. And then when I mix it all, then I let it sit for a little bit. And that's how it thickens up before I start cooking the batter, before I start making pancakes. So that works also if you're cutting a little bit of a corner, or if you forget to make your flax egg and that's the last thing and you need to add it. Like,
I think that's how you discovered it. You forgot to make the flax egg. It's like, I don't want to wait
10 more minutes.
10 more minutes.
So I just I mix the flax egg in, and then I was like, okay, well, I'll wait to heat. I'll let it sit while I heat the pan, and it ended up working out just fine. So that's a corner to cut. Don't be such a hater.
So you usually do that. I don't know why that freaks me out and I don't do it.
So, yes.
So pancakes, good go-to. And then,
sometimes it calls for butter. So either vegan butter or like neutral oil or you can use applesauce in place of the oil.
Yeah. We typically either use oil or applesauce when we make them oil free.
Mm-hmm.
And it's weird how the applesauce really works.
Yeah, it does.
So
the texture is slightly different,
mm-hmm.
but the flavor and the taste and everything is still there. It's good.
Yeah. So if you're really trying to do the oil free thing or the low
cut
fat,
that down,
then that's a good way to go.
Yep.
All right. And then our last breakfast idea is homemade breads.
Yes.
Now, this kind of might seem like a no-brainer,
mm-hmm.
or it might not. But there's so many varieties, and we actually do this a lot, and it adds a lot of variety to our breakfast.
Yes. Yeah.
So, you can do banana bread. You can do zucchini bread, which we recently talked about because we had so much zucchini. Pumpkin bread, so good, especially in the fall when it's like pumpkin everything.
Yep. You get a little pumpkin chai tea or a little, pumpkin hot tea, or you figure out a pumpkin latte. Oh, we like pumpkin stuff.
We do. So it can be really good. You make a loaf, in a little loaf pan, and then that's 2 breakfasts for us.
Yeah, that's 2.
So you make it one day, and then we cut it in half, and then cut that half into fourths, and we each have a good size slice of homemade bread.
Yep.
And then we serve it with some fruit on the side.
Yep.
Right? And then usually you'll add nuts to the bread, so that kind of plumps it up some more. And
sometimes I like to add raisins. Like sometimes I'll make like banana raisin walnut or banana walnut. Sometimes to the pumpkin if I can find golden raisins on sale.
Oh yeah, those go really good.
The golden raisins are really fun in the pumpkin also.
Yeah.
Yeah. But nuts are an easy way to mix them in. Oh, sometimes the boys requested this. I'm going to have to make it soon. Chocolate chip peanut butter banana bread.
Oh yeah.
It sounds busy, but it's really good. It was really good. Just
don't put craisins in it. Just
craisins and nuts would be good in the pumpkin though.
I don't know about that.
We'll keep you posted. I'll make a craisin pumpkin walnut bread, and I'll let you know when he likes it.
We'll just when we'll just see about that. And then with the breads too, sometimes if you don't want to do the bread, or you have a bread pan, a loaf pan, you could do muffins, or like we talked about the pancake bites.
Yep.
There's lots of variations you could do with that.
Yes.
But, we encourage experimenting with homemade breads for breakfast because they're really not that hard to make.
Right. They're not.
It's not intimidating like making sandwich bread or, an Italian loaf or something like that.
Yeah.
They're much more simple, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
And so it's definitely worth looking into.
Mm-hmm. And the pancake bites, like I said, it's essentially the batter. When I know I'm going to do the pancake bites, I try not to put as much milk because it takes longer to cook, the runnier the batter is. Like sometimes you want your pancake batter not as stiff as you would a muffin batter. So I'll reduce the milk slightly on my pancake bites. And then I just cook that until they're done. And that's a really easy way to get muffins.
Yeah. And then to round out when we do muffins or breads, we usually do them with, a cup of soy milk or a cup of tea or hot beverage of your choice.
Yes.
Really rounds it out really nicely.
Yes.
So.
And then lastly is oatmeal cups. No, we were just like, we're not going to talk about oatmeals. But this is a really different way to get oatmeal. And you kind of make oatmeal and then put it in the muffin tin and bake it. But it's a little different than that. And this is one that you can put all sorts of fixins and fillings in as well.
Yeah, you used to make these a lot.
I did. It's funny I fell off, and it's funny you put these on the list because I was thinking about them recently.
Yeah, because you would make a whole lot of them. You'd make a giant batch and then put them in the fridge, and then we would have them to grab and go, or to do quick breakfast throughout the week.
Yes.
And then so like the boys could just grab their own breakfast, or whenever we're ready to eat, just grab some oatmeal cups and some fruit, and then there's your breakfast.
Yeah. And then sometimes the boys like hash brown patties or hash brown cakes. I don't know what the store actually calls them. Our youngest calls them hash brown cakes, but on the sides of like breads or muffins as well. And our eldest Constantine knows how to make that, and our youngest is just starting to learn how to do some cooking. He's not quite there for on his own, but he can be supervised. And so that's an easy one if you have pancake bites or oatmeal cups already made and you trust your kids in the kitchen to warm up some hash brown patties. They can make their breakfast and get a fruit. Good to go. or soy milk or whatever. It's really good.
Well-rounded breakfast. All right, so those are our 10 breakfast ideas for hearty breakfast with variations.
Lots of variations.
Options, ideas. Let us know what you like, what you tried, what your ideas are. We're always looking for more breakfast ideas because, like I said, it's the most important meal for me, for us.
Yep.
We're super into it. So we'd love to hear from you all.
And are we doing a webinar on breakfasts?
Check our website and our YouTube channel for our webinar on breakfasts. And we also have a webinar replay on egg-free cooking.
Yes.
So you can see, we're going to demonstrate some of these recipes that we talked about if you want to go a little more in depth.
Yes. Yep.
So sounds great. Stay tuned. I think next time we're going to talk about lunch and dinner ideas. Just like we did this one. So if you're looking to expand, get more ideas, more options, we got you.
Yeah. In the meantime, enjoy your breakfast. Thanks for joining us. We release new episodes every 2 weeks. You can always email us at plantbased@apnm.org or visit our website at apnm.org/plantbased for classes, recipes, and more resources.
See you in 2 weeks.